Hello, hello. Good evening. It is 10 p.m. here on the East Coast. Not sure where you guys are joining from, but shout at me down in the chat. Let me know where you're coming from. I'd love to know. So, I was thinking all about a lot of people get new pups come Christmas time. Now, I don't recommend giving somebody a dog as a surprise because that comes with its own set of problems. Because I always believe everybody in the family should agree about getting a dog. And maybe parents want to surprise kids, that's fine, but the parents are on the same page. So don't do it as a surprise. It really does cause problems. It causes a lot of friction in the family, and that's not a good way to bring a dog into the house. We want good energy, right? Good positive energy. So anyway, let me know. I think my chat is having a little hard time over here. It's giving me a, let's see here. Bear with me 1 second because it's not showing me my chat. Let's see. Well, phooey. Bear with me for a second. Let's see. I don't know what's going on, but something's going on with my chat, so I can't really see it. And I'm trying, so maybe as we move along, I'll have it figured out. So anyhow, thank you so much for joining me. If you are even thinking about getting a new dog, this is the place to be because so many people, they choose a new dog because it's really cute. You know, would you marry a guy just because he had pretty eyes in his profile picture, right? So living with the dog is kind of the same thing because you want a good partner in life. You want someone who matches your personality. And so dogs have their own personalities. I call that Dogenality, and I actually have a whole product around that to help people understand, you know, what their dog is, and or if you're going to adopt a new dog, how to do that to be sure, like, you understand your personality. I call it Humanality in this case, and you know, like, what kind of person are you? Because that needs to match your dog's Dogenality and complement each other instead of, let's say you're a chilled out person who loves to read books and watch Netflix, you know, and just you're a relaxed kind of human. But then you get a dog who wants to run a marathon every day, right? Who is bouncing off the walls all the time. That's not going to be a great match for you, right? And if you are a softer human, you know, who doesn't like to give rules and guide the way, then you need a really easy dog, what I would call like my sofa spud type. All right. They're confident, but they're lazy. And every dog needs walks and such, but like a really low key dog, you can take much shorter walks than you can a super high energy driven dog. They need much, much more and need more of a athletic type person who loves to be outdoors and active and do things. And so really understanding the dynamic there, because we really do. We go into a shelter or wherever we are looking at dogs, rescue group or a breeder even. And we are just looking at the dogs. You know, we tend to pick a dog because it's cute, it's short, it's fluffy, it's black, whatever, that criteria. And that's not what you're going to live with in the long run. You could still find a dog that's visually lovely to you, but the Dogenality really needs to match. And I have a free quiz. You guys can take it. I'll be sure that you have it before we leave here. But it's Dogenality, and I'll spell it really quick. Dogenality, Dogenality, and .com. And free quiz. Take it. And if you already have a dog, then you can take the quiz and answer the questions, and then it will give you a basic little report to tell you exactly, you know, what your dog is, or primarily. And if you don't have a dog, one of the things you can do is go take the quiz and answer the questions in the quiz as if it's the dog that you prefer, the kind of dog that you would like to have. And it will give you that result too, which is nice. So there again, my chat is not cooperating with me because I can't see what you guys are saying. However, if you already have a dog and are adding a new dog in, you know, we need to make sure that we're also complementing that dog's Dogenality. So if you have a really chilled out dog at home and you bring home a puppy, it's going to be quite normal. We don't want the adult dog to hurt the puppy ever, but it's going to be very normal for them to give them rules right away. And some dogs are super tolerant and others are not. If you have a dog that is not good with dogs anyway, you're going to need a little specialized help for that. And, those are things we can talk about. I do offer consultations, but depending on the degree of your dog would be whether or not, you need a kind of IRL type thing in real life with a professional and handle that. But in general, if your dog is pretty friendly, that's what they do in the beginning, because a puppy comes in kind of wild and crazy. It would be like if someone set loose some feral 3-year-old on you and they're bouncing, all over you and things that, at some point you've got to tell them to stop. And I want you guys to really take lessons from what the older dog, how they behave with a younger dog, especially if they're a nice middle of the road, happy-go-lucky type dog. They're not being aggressive to the puppy. Not if they're a balanced dog. They're not being aggressive. They're teaching them what's allowed and what's not. And we have to do the same thing. Otherwise, the puppy can come in and take our lives over. However, we're nicer. And there's ways that we can do that to interrupt behaviors and let them know I don't like that. I have 4 games that I teach people. One is the bubble game, like don't climb on me crazy unless I ask you to come in. Just respect, like we would want from a human. We wouldn't let just somebody come up and be all over us, minus our children, maybe our spouse, right? But the bubble game, the invisible line game, that's how you keep them out of the kitchen when you're cooking, or you make them wait in a room, or you're bringing people into your home. And you can draw the invisible line back away from the door while they calm down and you bring people in. And really practicing that all the time is a great little baby rule that just makes sense when you get them listening to you regularly. That's it. And then we have the calm and relax game. This is applicable when they're really doing something you don't like, or they're playing too rough or anything like that, and you want them to stop, calm down, and connect back to you. And so really it's just a body blocking game. Block, block, block until they stop. And as soon as they stop, you stop. Then you're going to be looking at each other, and then you'll start to see the adrenaline come down, but you got to wait. And so that one takes time. It's patience. I talk a lot about patience. But it really works because that is a very safe, non-hurtful way to let them know, hey, you got to stop doing that. And so finding ways to communicate this way is crucial. And then the last game is what I call the parking spot game. This is really, really an important game, especially if you have a fearful or a nervous dog, because they need to have a great advocate in their life. And pet parenting, just like human parenting, we advocate for our kids. So we have to advocate for our dogs. So the parking spot game is if someone is approaching us, if things are getting out of hand over here or whatnot, you want to make your dog feel safe and show them, hey, I got it. And it puts them in a position where they can just relax. And so I have them sit just behind my knee. I'm closed on the leash, just like I walk, but I'm relaxed and not tight. And they will just learn to relax back there. And practicing these 4 games all the time in your life makes them super familiar to them. So like when you do get out in public and things start getting a little overwhelming for your dog, this is like second nature to them. And it's all about feeling really good. Now, the other part that is so important to talk about would be, I have been talking about this a lot lately because we have gotten a lot of new science, and I come from science. I spent 17 years as a veterinary medicine as a vet tech, and my brain really just operates in that realm. And I love to soak up new science when we have it about our dogs. And there's some great studies in 2022. They actually mapped the scent organs, right? The olfactory system, and they mapped it, how it is dissected and functionality in the brain, the neuroscience behind it. And it's fantastic. In my Stand store, I have a free download explaining the whole thing. And I kind of broke it down and removed a crazy amount of scientific language and made it more for the layperson. Now, but it's awesome science. I mean, dogs literally see the world through their nose. There's even a link to their occipital lobe, which means they create visions out of scent. It's just fantastic and wonderful stuff. But the most important thing that we need to understand about our relationship with our dogs in context to the neuroscience is that your pheromones change when your emotions change, and your dogs smell that. And your dog will associate that either positively or negatively. And most people who have a reactive dog, this is a huge part of what's going on. Number one, we haven't learned how to have a connected walk. And number two, the dog is out in front and normally already excited before they even walk out the door. So adrenaline's kind of already pumping. They may be dragging their person down the street. And when they see something, they've been tight on this leash. Now there's frustration involved. And then it just it causes an explosion of things. And it doesn't take long to teach the person that, oh shit, there's a dog, right? And so now our psyche changes when we see a dog. The dog is picking up your scent change from those pheromones. And now you're telling them something's wrong with that. And of course, all good pack members help pack members. So they are doing what they think they should do. Now, to understand that we can change that, when we think about service dogs, search and rescue dogs, and those type of dogs, dogs who are helping, the veterans and other people with PTSD, they have been taught to associate all of that with positivity. It's just the opposite. And this has everything to do with their training as a really young dog. And this is what they know coming up. So it's the association and the context of things. And in order for us to truly change our dogs, we have to change us. And that's the great thing about being a person, is that you have thumbs and a big brain, and we can actually we can notice our thoughts and then start to make changes. And I say this all the time, and dog lessons are life lessons. When you learn to do this on your walks with your dog, you're going to start to notice it in other places in your life and learn how to calm down. Right. So that's all part of my leash reactivity course. We have an entire module on emotional fitness and learning how to really get control of ourselves. Because, I work with a ton of women in animal land. As you guys know, there's so many women. And I'm going to say a good strong 80%, I would say it's probably more, but I'm going to be generous and say 80% suffer from some type of anxiety. And sometimes it's really severe for some people. And so as we are practicing these things, it really helps all the way around. It's really awesome. So, my tagline for Dog Psychology 101 is balance the human. And not everybody needs balancing. I know that, but a lot of people do and want to. And so balance the human plus rehab the dog equals a happy life. And that's true. All right. It's both sides of the leash. And it's not about giving dogs commands. It's not about obedience. It's about your relationship with your dog. And the more I can get you to honor your dog and understand what it means to be a dog and how they see the world and interact, we can change. Because, a lot of our primate behaviors really terrify nervous dogs and fearful dogs. My specialty has always been severe behavior problems, and really learning to see these little shifts and things. We're going to make some really good videos on some dog body language. I've got tons and tons of footage of a lot of our large packs, and really breaking down, like, what does this mean and look like? And then normally if we can get quiet, dogs don't talk. They talk, but they don't speak. And getting in tune to that and learning to really observe. One of the best things you could do is stand outside a dog park and just watch. It's really, you get, especially a busy dog park, you can get a lot of information very quickly if you just start paying attention to the interactions. When one is having a good time, when one is not having a good time, pay attention to the body language going on. Pay attention to their ears back or their ears forward. Do they look like a torpedo? Are they cowering down, trying to avoid the play? Are they hiding behind bushes? All kinds of things. And then you can kind of start to see what's respectful and what's not respectful. And I'm all about having a harmonious house, right? And so back to choosing a new dog. Once you guys take the quiz, and like I said, it doesn't cost you a thing. You'll understand this little matching thing, because you're going to see some graphs on the website. The graphs are like a situational graph and a trait graph. And the traits are going to be primary. So we have the social butterfly. Those are the happy-go-lucky dogs. They tend to be like medium energy, maybe even a little higher in energy, but they tend to like people. They tend to like dogs. They're just easy dogs. And then we have the opportunist. The opportunist is a lower key dog, like medium to low energy and nervous, not so confident. And I call them the opportunists because they tend to pick on weak dogs, old dogs. If you're a pushover human, they tend to push you around a little bit too. Okay, so they're not doing it out of spite or dominance. It's just that when they see this opening, it takes them in there as a form of controlling things. Makes sense? And so when they can control things, they feel better. And then we have the sophist bud. So the sophist bud is a confident dog who is lazy. And kind of dealing with them is a little bit different. What they like is a lot of encouragement and come on, let's do that. And love and things like that to get them to do things for you. And if you try to come down on them, like get over here right now, they're not going to do it. They're going to shut down. They're not going to cooperate with you. They're not going to see you as a balanced human, right? And then the last one is the nervous Nelly. The nervous Nelly is the hardest dog. They are high energy and they are nervous. They tend to be very reactive, very quick, bark, lunge, sometimes bite people and dogs. And they really need a lot of exercise, a lot of guidance, a lot of really good parenting. They are great dogs once you have things in order with them, where they really see they can trust you. They don't need to make all these big decisions, that you've got it. And they will learn to defer to you and take their natural position in the pack. Because a nervous Nelly may seem more dominant to people because they're showing all these signs of reactivity and maybe even aggression, but it's coming from fear. And how do you know that you have a nervous Nelly instead of something that seems more dominant? Well, if you take them out of their element into a new environment and they see something brand new that's kind of super odd and they're not sure about it, and they maybe back away or bark at it, or won't go near it and things like that. Because a confident dog sees something new, they might look at it for a moment, but then they're going to be curious and go check it out pretty quickly. And a nervous Nelly will do that ultimately, but their first reaction typically is, nope, not going to do that. So, so understanding that. And your humanality types, you have to kind of think, are you the super chilled out person, or are you more of a protector type? Or do you feel like maybe you're a hothead sometimes, right? That might go in the protector category, but there's people that deal with a lot of anxiety, but on the other end of the scope, and I'm not going to say this is always men, it's more common men that kind of have a hothead. They think they're going to kind of control it through, power and just, they're just being guys. I get it. But sometimes I meet a woman like that too. And it's learning to have balance. What would you follow? That's it. It's, if you wouldn't follow a crazy person, well, a dog won't either. They want you to be balanced. They want you to be calm. They want you to be confident and sure of yourself. And the way you carry yourself, the way you feel, anxious feelings, they feel those, remember. Sense is everything. When you change when you change sense, they're going to change their behavior about it. And so walking through the world and being confident with them is the best gift you could give yourself and your dog. All right. And so understanding these dynamics. And so I have a guide and a workbook. It's kind of a little combination because I go really in depth about the different types of personalities, the different types of doganalities, what would typically match the other, and how to get there. And then there's some workbook sections in there for you to do your own work, for yourself, the questions that you should be asking yourself, like what are you looking for in a dog, and things like that. And then you could also take it with you on your phone with you when you're looking at dogs, because what happens when we get around new puppies, new dogs, and that kind of environment, we let our heart get above our head, right? And we're not thinking rationally. We're thinking with our emotions. And so I want to help you step back from that while you're making this choice, because, this choice is 10 or 15 years or longer. It's a long time. And, it's kind of like if you go on the first date and it's a bad date, you don't have to go on a second date. But once you bring the dog home, it's like they're there, right? It's very difficult to take them back. And if we do take them back, this is part of my work with rescue groups and things like that, is that making the right match initially is really important, because if a dog gets returned, now they have this blemish, that they've been returned, and that can make them harder to adopt as well. And many times it's not the dog's fault at all. It's just that we had a bad match. Right. And so I think making that initial match is really, really important. And, doganalities and humanalities need to jive. It's also a great idea. If you find a dog through a rescue group or a shelter, most of them have foster programs so that you can foster a dog for a couple of weeks before you adopt them. And I think that's wise. If you can do that, I would really take advantage of that. But I hope you guys find, I hope you found this helpful. It'll be replayed, of course, on the channel. And if you follow me on social medias, I'll be sure to post out there. But I'm going to put some links here for you when we wrap up. I will put some links. I want you to go and visit and see. It's dogpsychology101.com if you want to take the Dogenality quiz, free quiz, doesn't cost a thing. But let me send you to my Stan store. So it's Stan, STAN, .store, and then / Dog Psychology 101. Everything's on there. Right at the top of the store is the Dogenality quiz. Go take that. And then if you are interested, I would love to have you get the guide and the workbook, because that is going to be the best thing that you can have when you go searching for this new family member, right? And I would love to help. We offer private consultations as well. So please do. Thank you so much for coming. I hope this was helpful. That's why I'm here. And I hope to see you next round. Bye.